Get started. Good evening. My name is Jeanette Ortiz, Chair of the Anne Arundel County Police Accountability Board. I would like to call this meeting today, Monday, September 25th. Call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone who is here, members and agency representatives. We appreciate everyone being here this evening. First on the agenda, before we get into the substance of the meeting, I'd like to move forward with approving the August 28th meeting minutes. The audio recording of the August 28th meeting of the PAB will serve as the minutes to the meeting. Everybody should have gotten, all PAB members should have gotten a link to that audio recording. And just as a summary for the public's benefit, at the August meeting, the PAB received updates regarding statewide PAB matters and happenings, an overview of the work of the ACC, the Administrative Charging Committee, and updates from our executive director. Is there a motion to approve the August 28th meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion, there's a second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. The August 28th meeting minutes are approved and they will be posted. The video stands for the meeting minutes, and the video will be posted on the police accountability site on the Anne Arundel County website. All right, moving next to public comment. The board will now accept public comment. It is my understanding that we did not have anyone sign up in advance. However, is there anyone that is here in the audience that would like to provide public comment?
I don't see any raised hands.
Okay, good. Neither do I. I'm just gonna hang a second or two because the minutes went by quickly, just to make sure I don't miss anyone. All right, we're still not seeing. Oh, I do see a raised hand for Amy Cruz. So before we let you provide public comment, Amy, just a few friendly reminders before we get started. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to provide public comment. A speaker representing an organization shall have 5 minutes to provide public comment. A timer will be used to keep time. Once the buzzer sounds, please wrap up your comments. I'll let you know when that time is. We ask that comments remain civil and appropriate for the various audiences who may be watching the meeting. The board cannot discuss any specific cases, and it is not the practice of the board to engage in back and forth with speakers. So let me put my timer here. All right, Amy, whenever you are ready, you have the floor.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of the rules. I just really quickly wanted to say, so my name is Amy Cruz. I am a legal program associate at the ACLU of Maryland. I'm also a member of the Anne Arundel County Coalition for Police Accountability. And I'm here kind of wearing both hats as I often am doing in these spaces, but I'm glad to be here. And I just wanted to suggest that the coalition at some point consider or reconsider having public comment at the end. It feels very awkward to do it at the beginning. As some of you all know, I'm on the Civilian Review Board in Baltimore City, and I've been on it as a non-voting member for a long time. And it really does help to have public comment at the end, which is when the public has questions about what you did, or even if you can't engage back and forth, may have comments about what they saw. So just throwing out there to consider having public comments at the end so that people can be reflecting on the meeting and not feeling unheard because they weren't able to say anything about what you all talked about. So that's all I had to say. Thank you again.
Thanks, Amy. We appreciate that feedback, and we did hear that from another person, and so we were having public comment at the end in the beginning. And we were asked to please put it earlier because if the meeting was running too long, people didn't want to spend a couple hours or a few hours. So we will certainly take your suggestion under consideration, but just for the public to know that we do take these suggestions seriously. And so when we were doing the comments at the end, we moved them to the beginning because we received different feedback. So certainly we will keep that in mind and, determine whether or not to make a change, maybe, at the middle of a meeting or go back to the end of the meeting. But that's something that the board can certainly discuss as an administrative change. All right. Is there anyone else that is attending that would like to provide public comment? Just gonna hold a few seconds here just to make sure, give everyone an opportunity. All right, I don't see any other hands raised. So this evening serves as one of our quarterly meetings with the law enforcement agencies in the county. And so each agency has representatives or a representative who will be providing an update regarding any complaints received and any other relevant information that the agency would like to share with the PAB as it relates to alleged misconduct by any of their officers, I think we've received compliments, any trends that you've been seeing, any, sort of challenges or growth that you've seen. So, we'll take the good with the challenges. And certainly we look forward to hearing every one of you and from every one of you and appreciate you being here this evening. So let's start with Crofton Police Department and Acting Chief Jett. Welcome.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hey, awesome. I hope summer's treated you well since we last met, and let's get on with this. I guess we have finally gotten our first sort of complaint, I guess you would say. I don't know if any of y'all were aware of that. It was actually directed towards me about using a cell phone during a parade. I was actually giving directions to my other officers on cell phone during our Pride event over here, and apparently it was frowned upon by a citizen here in the community. Unfortunately, we went through the whole response to him, advising him of different articles of transportation and that police officers are immune to that certain law when it comes to cell phones while you're operating your motor vehicle. Like I said, it was unfounded. We sent it back unfounded. It's been our logged in our book here for complaints. It's our only complaint. I mean, I told you guys I wanted to experience one, and unfortunately, I don't know that I really experienced one. It didn't really qualify. So unfortunately, let's rephrase that. I don't really want to experience one when it comes down to it, but if I have to, I'd like to actually, go through it as a, actually a viable complaint, I would have to say. But in relation to that, just to keep you guys updated, we are now 4 strong over here. We were 2, we are now 4, and our contact with the community has increased probably triple, if not more. Just for an example, during our month of September, I think we had 394 calls for service. I'm sorry, August. But now in September, with my guys out there, we are now over 1,100 calls for service. We had 34 traffic stops in August. Now I have over 170 for this month. So my guys are really out there engaging the community, and we're, having a lot more run-ins with the community. And so far, so good. I just want to let you guys know that we are turning things around up here and trying to put my guys out on the street and better serve the community. But that's where we are right now. So I don't have anything else besides that.
Thank you for your update and congratulations. That's great to hear that you've doubled your officers. I'm sure that's alleviates a lot off of you and your the other second officer that was in the office. One question. So does that put you at full capacity, or is there one more vacancy?
One more, we're waiting. So we have the ads out there and we're waiting. Also, additionally, I forgot to mention, we might be launching a new Crofton Police Department website, which we already have it planned out. and we already have your stuff linked to that. So as far as the police accountability board and the complaints, as far as making that, we just haven't officially announced that it's going to be up and running. It's just everything over here is so far out of touch with today's times that we're just trying to update and get back up to speed with all our surrounding law enforcement agencies. I know it's hard because we're so small, but we're trying to do what we can. So that was also something I wanted to mention. But yeah, we need one more and we'll be at full capacity.
Great, thank you. And good to hear about the website. Sounds like you're making progress, small but mighty. So that's great to hear. Are there any questions from PAB members of Chief Jet?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to echo your congratulations. You've always come to these meetings with a positive attitude and an openness to this process, and it definitely reflects well with us. So thank you very much and congratulations. And we look forward to hearing your evolution as your new team moves forward. So just wanted to give you that feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kim. I see Kenny's hand up.
Yes, congratulations, Chief. Out of curiosity, did you hire the one candidate from Hawaii?
We did.
So he came and stayed.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, I have a go-getter on my hands and I can't explain how excited I am about that. So he's very involved in the community. He's a traffic guy for us and it's unbelievable. And we're very excited. I mean, he's young. We didn't think he would actually mix into the blend here, but I can't be any more excited about it than, I don't know, like I said, it's very good. He actually blends in well with us and we're very excited to have him.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're all very happy for the department. Any other questions from members? All right, well, thank you so much. You are, of course, welcome to stay on, or you're free to exit the meeting. Thank you, and we'll see
Thank
you
you.
at the next quarterly meeting in December. Thank you. All right, so next I have Sergeant, I make sure I say your name correctly, Kerpelman from Anne Arundel County Community College. Welcome. I think this is your first time before us. Thank you for being here this evening.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for pronouncing my name so well. Our chief is out of the country, so he asked me to fill in for him tonight. We've had 0 complaints. We're enjoying a full campus, so it's nice to see everybody back on campus again. Everything's going well. And the only thing that I really have to share is we participated in the Anne Arundel County OEM Preparedness Expo that was hosted at our campus in Arundel Mills, and everything went great. So that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from PAB members?
Sergeant Kerpelman, we're also doing a lockdown, right, in the next few weeks?
Yes, well, we're start the lockdown drills on the 4th, actually next week starts it.
So are these the first ones that we've done so far at the college?
Very first, yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted the board to know that those were the kind of things for public safety that are being done, and it's been about a year or 6 months in planning.
We started meetings in February, so
Okay.
yeah.
Was there anything that led to this particular lockdown? Like what triggered this lockdown? I've been there for 7 years, and this is my first experience with it. What triggered doing this?
We're supposed to do them, and we had planned to start them right before COVID hit, and that everything got shut down. So there was, no way to plan it. So now that everybody's back, we want to get it started and then move forward. We'll be doing them every year.
And are we fully staffed right now?
We are.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Any other questions from board members? All right, well, thank you so much, Sergeant. Again, you're welcome to stay with us, but we will not be offended if you leave the meeting. Have a good evening. Thank you. All right, and next we have the Sheriff's Office, and we have Corporal Gross, Colonel Williams, Lieutenant Corcoran, and Lieutenant Vannersdale. I hope I said your name correctly.
That's good. Good evening, members of the board. Again, my seen me before, Corporal Bill Gross with the Sheriff's Office. With me is Lieutenant Van Orsdale. The Colonel is out of town, and as well as the Lieutenant Corcoran has other business to attend to tonight. So Lieutenant Van Orsdale draws the straw tonight. So and briefly, since our last meeting in June, we've had 2 complaints, and they have come in last week. One of them was emailed through the new the refurbished county website, so we know that's working correctly. And the second one was telephoned in to one of our lieutenants last week. The first one involved a warrant service complaint, and multiple body cameras captured it. And we'll have a resolution of that shortly, which the ACC will see that. And the second one involved a telephone complaint involved a bear with me for a second. Basically questions about the process of paying for sheriff service and what happens if how the sheriff service is documented, especially when it comes to out of county civil process, Baltimore City. And basically this is going to be an educational one, but we'll submit it anyway, just to let you know, so that let you know that we have our open board, open cons, or what's the word I'm looking for? That transparent. So, and yeah, so that's just a complaint on the cost that involved in the civil process. And that's it for the last 4 months.
All right, thank you so much. Did you have any other agency updates that you wanted to share?
The ACC has 2 of our complaints that they're handling. Well, one now, one was just heard last week, and I believe they'll hear the second complaint tomorrow night. So we'll have 2 pending, and we'll have several more to be submitted in the near future. So we're going to keep them on their toes.
And I know that when I met with the sheriff, he talked about, you know, your office being out more in the community and establishing, I guess, you know, relationships with the community and being a little bit more active in the county. And so do you guys have any updates as far as community events or happenings that you've been involved in?
I personally have not been involved, but I know the agency has, and they have a lot of Halloween events coming up. Unfortunately, I don't have all the specific information with me right now, but I can be more than happy to present that to you in an email tomorrow.
Yeah, no worries. Just wanted to follow up on that, since I know he had previously mentioned that. All right, any PAB member questions? I see Sarah's hand up.
Thank you, Jeanette. Corporal Gross, I love working with you. You know, I'm on the ACC, so I appreciate all the hard work you do. My question, and while we have APD and Anne Arundel County on here, I just wanted to say this while everybody's in the room. And Moya, please jump in where you feel it's appropriate, because I value your opinion as well. I'm looking at the information that we're getting on the spreadsheet, the PAB, and I want to address this one more time. Corporal Gross, you always come and you verbally tell us all the information we need. You're super good about giving us the details of the complaints, redacting the personal identifying information. And Anne Arundel County has really upped to their game, and they're providing the information in the spreadsheet since the last time we discussed this, so it's all there. So my question is, are you going to start providing it the way you give it to us verbally in writing? And Rhonda McCoy, I'm sorry, this is for you as well. When it's your turn, I just didn't want everybody to log off and not have an opportunity. I just don't want to repeat myself and waste time. Time is my thing. Is there going to be an opportunity where everybody follows suit behind Anne Arundel County Police Department and provides more details to the PAB up front, redacting, putting more than just harassment or conduct or traffic violation in the spreadsheet, so the PAB can have the information up front like Anne Arundel County is doing right now?
So Corporal Gross, if you can answer that, and then Sarah, if you don't mind, Annapolis is next, so we'll get to Rhonda.
With the new, we did get a new spreadsheet, and there is a detail section in there. I'm assuming I sent it to all the members last Thursday. I'm assuming you have it in front of you, but I do have a little bit more detail on what we have been giving in the past. But then it follows through with Anne Arundel County Police. That's just a phone call that I can find out what they're doing, so we can match match presentations. So I'm hoping the information I provided in the Thursday meets your expectation.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm gonna like lean back a little on Jeanette or Moya. I'm looking at what we have, and it just as I look at the tabs, clearly it's tabbed out what Jen sends us. The information provided from the departments isn't, it's not identical. That's just my point. If we could all get on the same page and provide what Anne Arundel County is providing now, is they've come a long way, and it's way better. And I commend them for meeting us where we asked them to start meeting us. Because I know I was really tough there for a minute. And so I'm wondering if the other departments are interested in meeting Anne Arundel County, or even discussing with them what they put in there, so we could all see the same type of information from every department at the same time.
Speaking for the sheriff's office, ma'am, I don't see that as a problem at all. Yeah, we'll just catch up with the county police and we'll make it happen.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah, and thank you, Corporal Gross. Yeah, so we sent to your point, Sarah, a template that all the PAB members were able to kind of weigh in to identify what we wanted to see in as far as complaint logs to all 5 of the agencies, so that when they were submitting information for our review, it would be uniform. And so I think this is maybe a situation where one agency's definition of providing a description versus another agency's definition of providing a description is different. And so, yes, absolutely. Please reach out to Anne Arundel County Police Department. To Sarah's point, you know, we were a little tough with them back in the spring, but they've met with us and they've been willing to make adjustments to meet what we need as a board to do our job in our oversight capacity. So hopefully they're willing to share, you know, the summaries that they're providing. And I think that, you know, you're definitely on the right track to giving us more information, but we'd just like a little bit more of a descriptor, because that will be super helpful to us. And so I think you'll find Anne Arundel Police Department to be helpful in that regard. And then, of course, if we have any, you know, other suggestions or questions, we'll be sure to let you know if we still need more information.
Thank you very much. Shouldn't be a problem. I don't see it as a hurdle.
Thank you. I see Kenny's hand up.
Yes, Madam Chair, I hope this is in order. I did speak with Captain Schultz from the end of Arundel County, and we had talked a little bit about maybe having a round robin, or where all of the agencies that we could get together and maybe have little breakouts for discussion, and that could bring more uniformity to how we are doing things, as well as having us there in person. And if we could bring that to fruition, I think that would be a good thing. He was more than open and excited about the possibility and wanting to meet with us. So if we could make that happen, that might help all the agencies as well as us in our understanding and bring clarity to the whole situation.
Thanks, Kenny. Any other questions or comments from board members? All right, thank you so much. Again, you're welcome to hang on, or you are free to leave. Thank you, and we will see you at the December meeting.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Annapolis Police Department, Rhonda McCoy. Welcome. I just muted myself. You're muted, Rhonda.
Let me start over. Good evening, everyone. Happy to see you all from the last meeting. And I'm here to give the report. Chief Jackson sends his well wishes. We had a shooting last night, and so he is called away addressing that. Before I give my report, I'm going to start off by answering answering the question that Sarah gave and that you all wanted about the uniformity in reports. And first and foremost, I'd speak with Captain Schultz. You know, hold your hand up, Captain Schultz. We talk all the time. We talk all the time, and try to coordinate uniformity with this process. One of the big challenges for us is that I just ran out of funds. I ran out of money. I do have a budget for the Police Accountability Act through the city in an annual budget, and of course I applied for a grant and got it, and for some other things. But Anne Arundel County has a system called Tableau, which speaks to the other system that we use for complaints in IA Pro. So when things are entered, the IA Pro kind of like updates the sheet for them, and we don't have that. I'm a big fan of automation, and I have put in for our new budget the money to try to pay for that Tableau system. So it will be kind of exactly like Anne Arundel County's. Everything that we enter in will go over to the sheet, but that's a work in progress. If I have some funds left over, or some additional funds, we do have some of my positions for my grant are positions. People take off work, and money is not exhausted. If I can find it there and kind of reprogram money to go and, you know, purchase that Tableau system, I will. In the interim, I will look and try to add a little bit more in that last block that I put in about information about the cases. And now getting on to the cases. We had 6 cases that went over to the ACC that are fully adjudicated. Hooray, hooray. We found the process to go rather smoothly. We have 20 cases overall. We've had some challenges here of late. I don't know whether you all know, our deputy chief is out and has been out for an extended time with the illness of his daughter. And he is in the complaint process as far as command complaints, which are those technical complaints that the ACC doesn't see, tardiness and things of that nature. So all of those type complaints got deferred to me because he has been out. We didn't anticipate the major being out when we signed Lieutenant Ascione, who is commander of IA, up to go to the National Academy. So this summer and into the fall has been, you know, challenging with both individuals out and an increased load of cases that I've had to handle kind of single-handedly with my crew of 2 in IA. But we're kind of back on track. Lieutenant Ascione, which is our commander of IA, he has moved on with a promotion to acting captain. And we have Lieutenant O'Herlihy, Hill O'Herlihy, who is now the commander of IA. He has over 15 years of service, and I'm happy to say that he's a lawyer. So I like that. I like that a lot. He is sworn, but he is a lawyer. So we're happy to have him. Some trends and patterns that we're seeing with our cases are violations of General Order L2 and J2. As such, because we have these patterns, J2 is reporting, overall reporting, and L2 is investigations. I have, as commander of professional standards, we have a round of training scheduled for these two areas for our upcoming in-service, looking at the trends and patterns and trying to put things back in to retrain and, you know, individuals when we do see some patterns, when we do see a pattern developing. We are on our second round of instinctual trauma response training, which they were in today, and they'll be in all week. And we have some individuals that are going to get certified in that trauma response training, which we're extremely happy about. Our advocate program is going off wonderfully. Our advocate has sent out over 30 notifications to individuals. She's linked and talked to individuals and assisted individuals navigate the system. What we are finding in a consistency with that is that a lot of people, especially people who have been making the complaints, still don't know that there was an Accountability Act and still don't know the process. And so she's been instrumental in kind of explaining that process and going through some of the complaints that we had. 3 of them were complaints through the supervisor, you know, finding an issue that involved a citizen and putting it through the system. But the other 3 were citizen complaints. And so I'm interested because the letters are going out, and our advocate has been very, you know, helping people navigate, you know, the system to see if we're going to get some feedback when they receive their letters from the ACC about their complaint. We are, of course, still down officers. At last check, we were at 108. We're supposed to be at 124. We're tasking everything that we can to try to recruit new officers, trying a new recruitment strategy. You know, part of our challenges is that, you know, a lot of surrounding jurisdictions and jurisdictions our size are offering bonuses. And we have been trying to talk with city council members and, you know, we're to try to get some bonuses for individuals to come to the Annapolis Police Department. I think that we have a very, very good relationship with the ACC. I think we understand in Annapolis that we, you know, this is kind of a partnership, and that we're a part of that process, and we, you know, are, you know, here to serve. And I will take questions, and forgive me for rambling. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, so I'm rambling now.
Thanks, Rhonda, for that update. Appreciate it. I see Kim's hand up, and if any other members have questions, please raise your hand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, you were talking about some of the officers getting certified in trauma response training. What percentage of the officers do you think that will be given? I mean, of the officers who are out in the public and dealing with people who are managing trauma, what percentage do you think will be certified?
So right now, fully certified officers, we're going to have 7 fully certified officers. And what we were hoping to do, I'm always looking, you know, towards the future. So we had the company come in, and now that we got the 7 officers fully certified, they can teach and then they can certify. So that was our goal there, to, you know, try to, you know, build something sustainable, and so we can get more officers certified.
And then you mentioned something else. It was when you were giving us the overview, and thank you for your detailed report. I'm curious, just in general, how is having the Police Accountability Act and the PAB and the ACC, what, if any, impact is that having on the relationship overall with internal affairs?
I don't think that as far as the officers go,
I guess just in general, when you mentioned it, it just made me think about it a little bit culturally, and I'm just curious to know if there's anything in particular you can think about. If there's not, that's fine. I just thought I'd ask because although it had nothing to do with what you were saying, it kind of tickled an interest of mine.
I think that we got over the biggest hurdle, which was the unknown. Submitting those first cases through and letting a case, go through the process and then, be fully adjudicated and come back. And officers, we had some officers who were exonerated and we had some officers who were disciplined. But, I'm sure that they talk and that they recognize, that, this is the system now. And I think that, there was probably a large bit of anxiety because it was the unknown. And now that, we're, up and rolling, submitting cases, I think that some of that is kind of tamped down.
Thank you. Any other questions from PAB members? I see Kenny's hand.
Thank you for your detailed report. Two quick questions. One, were any cases dropped or lost with the absence of the major and the lieutenant being away? Did that affect any of the status of pending cases that you were dealing with? And the second question, I know that you had said that funding was a challenge, which I'm sure it is for everybody, regardless of what entity. But are they reluctant to give you funding since this is a state mandated initiative? Or are you finding that you're still having to beg, steal, and borrow?
Tackling the first question, no, thank God we didn't miss any cases. One case did get kind of mired over into like a command investigation, and we found it, thank goodness. And it was adjudicated and sent through, so we didn't lose any cases. And we're kind of back on track with, operating into, what we have. We're sending four cases next week. Should be ready to go. Going through the chief, and then that will be all of our 2022 incidents submitted. As far as the funding, I can't say that they didn't give me any money because they did. They just didn't give me enough. Enough money. I initially got a $98,000 budget, which we have used on some things that we needed, like as far as like most of that went to kind of like the ACC. We needed licenses for the system that they use, so we got 9 licenses that cost money. We had some challenges with our video tech to be able to play, outside video. Like if we capture something from a camera and then we upload it into the system, it wouldn't play. So if we had sent it to the ACC, so we had to go out and buy these dongles from Axon, and that cost money. And then, as you know, there's other requirements from the law, like our physical agility test, which we got the we had to purchase drag dummies and things of that nature, and then our mental health assessment, the cost for the psychologist to conduct conduct those assessments. So all of that, yes, I'm out of money, but as the chief says, I'm not a genius. Never said I was, but I am learning. So I seek and try to find and learn what I can. We did. I did speak with someone from COPS who is kind of looking for some money for me to boost our recruitment and get everything else that I need. And we do want to copy off the county. I'm jealous of them with that Tableau. Every time I go over there and they play it, I get mad, but that's just me. Because I want it.
Thank you. Any other PAB member questions? Sarah.
So I do have a question for Rhonda. She's been very involved in this process since the beginning, as well as Captain Schultz has been very involved. Those two faces I've seen since day one. So I have a question for both of them when it's your turn, Captain Schultz, please. My question is, I know that the legislative part is coming up soon, where we'll be making some recommendations for changes, and whether anybody is successful at changing anything in the ACC and the PAB or the entire reform process is unbeknownst to me or any of us. But Rhonda and Captain Schultz, is there anything that you see from your side that you think would be beneficial for either side to change, that needs to change, that you would like to see change for the public and or the police?
Ooh, Sarah, that's a loaded question. There are
I
some
know
things.
Rhonda has a list.
I guess I'm asking, is there a big thing that you're going to be leaning towards?
And you can always circle back with us via email. if
I
that's
think I'm
helpful.
going to probably circle back in an email, because there are several kind of, important things that, like I said, we had a list, and, we know that the legislature wanted to reform. They wanted to, create a process. I just think that, creating that process with limited input from the entities that are going to be following that process was, kind of
Well,
not a good
and
thing
we're
to
learning and we're learning and we're growing. So change is inevitable. I was just wondering if you've seen anything that's shocking your soul or shocking your conscience.
Yes. Well, I'm going to send you a laundry list of things that, we think that can be, the legislature can be approved upon. But we're glad that you guys are listening, that, we have to have input, because we do the work, and there are a lot of logistics to this, a whole lot of logistics. And if you don't take our input, you miss steps, and then that mires the process.
I agree. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we appreciate you sending, your recommendations. I know you and I have spoken about a couple of things. And the board will be talking about this in a little bit, but, we have our annual report due by the end of the year. And so we're, starting to think about additional recommendations in addition to the ones that we recommended last year that the legislature did nothing with it. So we do appreciate feedback that you have. I see Danny's hand up.
Hey there. Just wanted to throw out there, actually building on what Sarah just asked, even if it would be a recommendation to do something like Tableau for each department in the state, could be something like a recommendation, I don't know, or funding for such a thing. The other question I had, I know in the article regarding that shooting, and I know we can't really talk much about it, but it did reference the community members saying that there's a need for more consistent policing in the area. And I was curious if you see a link between that and the lack of funds for the, incentives to hire police. Like, do you know how many positions you're down, like vacancy rate or anything like that? Is there anything we can do advocacy wise for that as well? Just kind of throwing that out there.
Yeah, well, we're kind of like over 15 positions down. And we had a summer crime plan and a fall crime plan that, put officers in, specific areas and on foot and roving patrols and some other things. But as you know, criminals study the police. They do. And, they watch your actions. And so, we're formulating new plans for displacement. We have been in that particular community a lot, doing the foot patrols. We actually got complimented for them not too long ago, because they said, wow, this is we're seeing a lot of foot patrols and things, in that area. But as we're all taking hits, all the departments across the state, and I think across the country, just convincing individuals to for a life of service, in a police department is challenging. And I think, we could use more officers. We could use more officers in our criminal investigations. I'm still a believer that 10% of the people cause 100% of the problems. And in those communities, there's a small percentage of individuals that cause, a bunch of problems. And if you remove them, you minimize your risk of more violence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. So I'm glad, to hear that you are finding the ACC process to be collaborative and you have a good relationship with the ACC. That's good to hear because that's obviously very important to have that collaborative relationship. We have received feedback from the ACC with cases and time in which they have to review cases. And I know this is an issue a recommendation that we made in our report that we will have again this year to the General Assembly about the 1 year and the 1 day cases with officers who may be facing criminal trials. And as we know, criminal cases are hardly ever disposed of in a year or a year and 1 day. And so for those that are unaware, this case needs to be adjudicated through the process in 1 year and 1 day. And if you have an officer who's also facing criminal charges, that can obviously take much longer than 1 year and 1 day. And so what ends up happening, if the criminal case hasn't been adjudicated, can't move forward with the AC. Sometimes you are unable to move forward with the internal investigation in the ACC process because of that. And so it could result in someone not being held accountable, at least, internally. But one of the concerns raised by the ACC is the amount of time that they're having to receive some of these cases that are 1 year and 1 day. And so, and Annapolis came up specifically with, a couple of instances where they've had like a week to review because the time is up. And so obviously I understand you guys are short-staffed, you've had people out, and some things may be totally out of your control. Is there a way that, your agency can notify the ACC if something, sooner? They're saying ideally 30 days to have the case to review if it's a 1 year, 1 day. Obviously, I know that that's in a perfect world. It may not at all be feasible or sometimes be feasible, I don't know. But at the very least, kind of prep them 30, 60 days out, hey, this case is coming your way. We're still investigating. It's not ready for you, but we want to prepare you. You don't have to answer that right now, but just a thought to think about how there could be more communication with the ACC, even if the case isn't ready for them to review, to at least know that it's coming and maybe have some kind of an idea of how big or not big the case is. Just some feedback that we received.
I'm happy you said that because yes, we don't have any problem with that, and we do. As a matter of fact, we reached out to Moya, earlier because we have 2 cases that there is an issue, and not with the investigation, but with some other things that are happening. So we can discuss, and she can update the ACC on what our issues are. But in the future, we did have, again, we apologize, the major, we did not expect that, his daughter would have had this illness and that he would be out. It came right at the time that Lieutenant Ascione was going to the National Academy. And we didn't want to deny him the opportunity. to go to the academy because it doesn't come, up every year or that they give us an invitation. So when they did, we wanted him to take advantage of that opportunity. But we have been looking at the cases, and as I said, we're sending the 4 because we're trying to get those 4 out well, before a 30-day limit is approaching, or and so we don't tie ourselves up trying to get there. But as you said, there are challenges, Jeanette, because there are some incidents where it takes us a little while to get information, to provide you all with the information. Sometimes, we have to go out, interview people, interview a whole lot of people, a whole lot of people, catching up with these people, and then going through and waiting on other things. It's a lot of things to do, but we are endeavoring to do better. And we do have I just went to a training with LAA, so I would say Lieutenant O'Hurley, he is a beaver. And he is, I think, we've talked about this and discussed it, and I think we're on track to, to try to, really better that process, at least try to, if it's not case-wise, get it to where we can get it into like a 60-day process. And I am looking for, again, more funding so I can add another person to IA, so we can push cases, because our command cases can be challenging because those are sent up too, and reviewing those cases can be challenging along with the ones that we have.
Thank you, and thank you for that background information. That's helpful, and I'm sure Moya will be sharing those updates with the ACC, so it's helpful for us to hear that as well. And obviously, whatever we can do to be helpful, if there are things that the General Assembly can do, obviously, right? That's one of the recommendations, like to allow additional time for those cases that may have a criminal matter pending. I don't know what the appetite for that is. I think, last year was just not even a full year, that the law had been in place. But now that the law's been in place for more than a year, there might be some appetite, or at least preliminary interest, to start looking at ways to improve it. So thank you for that information. I see Cedric's hand up.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. Does the command cases have a timeline internally? And if not, will they have a similar timeline like the PAB does?
Yes, they do have a similar timeline. It's just, there are, more of them than it is the case than it is the other cases.
Okay, and just a quick follow-up on the recruitment. I think all of this entire region struggles with employment. And a lot of times employment is based upon background checks. So are you struggling with you got a lot of applicants, but they just wash out in the process? What is your rate of applicants that really go through the process and make it to being selected? Is that a big issue?
Well, one of the challenges that we're having is that our recruiter is 3 people. And I don't mean 3 separate people. I mean one person with 3 distinct jobs. He's the recruiter, he's the background investigator, and he's the hiring agent. And so we are trying to get funding. We asked the city, for more funding so we can hire a company to conduct the background investigations for us. I kind of look at it, in an accounting type deal, that there should be a separation of duties deal, that the recruiter shouldn't be the background investigator, and the hiring agent, they should be separate. But we are trying to get money.
Thank you. Any other questions for Rhonda? All right, I don't see any other hands up. Thank you so much. Again, you're welcome to stay or not.
I'm
thank
going
you
to
for being
sleep,
here.
Jen.
Well, I hope you get some good rest this evening and we will see you at the next quarterly meeting. And please do send that list of recommendations. Thank you.
I shall.
All
Bye,
right.
Schultz.
That was you, Captain Schultz. All right, now we have Anne Arundel County Police Department. I'm missing someone. So I have Deputy Chief Roberts, Captain Schultz, and I can't see who the third person is.
It's our Lieutenant Travis Ott.
Hi.
Hello, Lieutenant. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here this evening. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. Before I turn it over to Captain Schultz, I want to start with highlighting our recent CALIA assessment. CALIA is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. It requires any participating organization to report out on 483 standards in order to achieve their accreditation. It's completely voluntary, and each agencies are required to meet benchmarks, which are made by independent assessors that come into our agency to review records. It's kind of identified as that gold standard in public safety. Anne Arundel County, we've been a member of CALIA accreditation since 1994. We've been reviewed 7 times by CALIA, and we've achieved the gold standard rating for each review process, which means we were 100% compliant in all of our standards. I want to specifically mention the most recent assessment, which we just underwent in August of 2023. I had the opportunity to speak last with the CALIA assessor, who was a former chief of police in Colorado. And the assessor told me, and I will quote, Anne Arundel County, if not the best agency, we were the top 5 he's assessed in the nation during his last 20 years as being an assessor. So you can obviously understand why we're quite proud of that statement. We'd like to think that we're doing everything we can the best way, but to have someone from the outside come in and review everything, and they spend weeks with us interviewing several members of the department and going through policies and records, to hear someone from the outside say that, it makes us feel like we are doing something right and we're in the right direction. So just wanted to share some of the good before I turn it over to Captain Schultz. So with that, I will lay it over to him. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm very familiar with CALIA. I used to do work with them in my past life.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'll start with our agency updates, and then I will move on to trying to answer as many questions as I can. I wanted to touch on, I know we're going to be preparing soon for, or you guys will be preparing soon for the annual report. And I read over that over the past couple of days, and I looked over some things that I hope can provide some insight as you move towards that. And I looked over some of the recommendations that you had last year in reference to training, and also how we're utilizing some of the technology and things that we've done this year to collaborate with the other units and the other agencies. So I can share any of that information that I share with you tonight as you prepare your report for next year. So our agency update is as of this year, our current case status shows that we have 42 cases that are under investigation that involve an allegation of misconduct and interaction with a member of the public. That's an increase of 10 cases from last time. 23 of those cases are eligible for ACC review, and then 19 of the 42 cases fall under the previous law. Of the 23 cases that are eligible for ACC review, 10 of our investigations have been completed. 8 investigations have been heard by the ACC where findings, determinations, and recommendations were rendered. And the remaining 13 cases are still active investigations. The case dispositions show that in 4 of those cases, there were administrative charges that were rendered. In 1 case, it was exonerated, and 3 cases were unfounded. And like I said, 13 of the others are still active. In reference to the 19 cases that are under the previous law, 6 are sustained 1 exonerated, 3 are unfounded, 5 not sustained, 1 was withdrawn, and 3 are active. And before I move on, are there any questions related to that? They show on our chart as well that we submit.
I have a question. So can you clarify the difference between not sustained, unfounded, and exonerated? I think I know, but just I want to be sure I understand, and I'm sure others may have questions either on the board or in the public.
So a not sustained finding, if I can kind of draw, I don't have the definition right in front of me, but what it means is that there was information that did or did not support the facts that were determined in the case, if that makes sense. There was not enough information to show the case fell on either side of the findings, if that makes sense.
You couldn't prove it. There wasn't enough evidence, or there wasn't enough information,
to
enough
prove
facts
or
to
disprove
prove either way.
Right, to prove or disprove the allegations.
Got it.
And then I hope LT here is quick on the draw here. Exonerated, that's changed over time, even since I've been in the office, because the new law changed that the way that was written. But the new law identifies as the police officer acted in accordance with the law and agency policy. And then not sustained under our rules and regulations, this is the way that's written. The investigation produced insufficient information to prove or disprove the allegation. And you asked about unfounded. That's the alleged act did not occur.
Okay. Thank you. That's really helpful. There are like nuances, but important. It kind of makes me think of when you're dealing with child abuse investigations, when you have ruled out unsubstantiated and indicated findings. So that's somewhat
and it's
similar.
it's an excellent question, because when you go through a case and you're getting to the end of it, you really do need to pay attention to what those findings are going to be and how you're going to eventually find that case.
Thank you for clarifying.
So moving on, some things I just wanted to highlight. I looked over, like I said, your annual report from last year, and I looked at the recommendations, and the recommendation number 2, it said to create a uniform complaint process with agencies utilizing technology for tracking and accountability. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but I really feel like we accomplished that goal this year. And to talk about that in a little bit more detail, we've worked with CI Technologies, which is our IA Pro system, and we specifically designed it with them our public portal, and that is something that they contacted us about, and we also worked in collaboration with them in relation to the new law. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in terms of some training we're going to do. We've already done some in the state, but we're also going to go and speak at their conference this year about how we helped develop that with them. And that was something that we've worked with Annapolis and the Sheriff's Department most intimately on. And I know that the other agencies don't get the number of complaints that we do, but when we do, that has helped us tremendously. Also the evidence.com file sharing, everyone has commented how the file sharing in the digital format that we've been able to use has been very helpful. And I think those two systems, as well as the Tableau system, that those digital file sharing and also the two systems that are able to talk to one another have been very successful in helping us get information to both the ACC and also the Police Accountability Board. And I understand that agencies sometimes have funding issues. And I think when Ms. Kivett asked the question about what are some things, you stole my thunder a little bit about the, what things I would ask for. If it was a perfect world, I think the year and the day thing is something that needs to be addressed. But, I think the other thing that we could use as far as agencies that are, in need of funding would be to ask, for some federal or state or local funding for agencies that can't necessarily afford some of those features or some of those training opportunities that maybe some of the larger agencies can afford. So in reference to recommendation number 7, the county, it said, should provide training and professional development relative to police accountability to relevant county employees, including law enforcement. And again, I think that's another goal that was accomplished this year. Obviously, you guys are well aware that we provided training for members of the ACC and the Police Accountability Board. But in continued efforts throughout the year, I know Lieutenant Ott just went and presented training on specific topics such as police accountability, customer service, complaint reception, the disciplinary process, ethics, and duty to intervene to our recruit officers. That's an actual training curriculum that's rolled out to them at every recruit class that they attend. So any recruit class that's coming through any entry level comparative compliance or lateral officer program, they're going to receive training in that. We also do in-service training, continued education, lineup, roll call training. We're actually starting to institute Zoom training or Zoom sessions now that we can reach out, and our staff inspections team is starting to do that, where we can reach out and not only just go with training bulletins, but actually do Zoom sessions with our rank and file and let them interact with us and go back and forth if they have questions. So I think that's another way that we're trying to accomplish that professional development on a daily basis. At the end of the month, like I said, I'll be presenting at the 18th annual IAPRO conference on the topic of police accountability. We were asked to present by that organization on the development of our public portal, lessons learned this year, and how we've networked that system with evidence.com. And overall, I would just say we're receiving a lot of questions and feedback from agencies throughout the state and across the country, looking to mirror how the workflow model is working here, because police accountability and things like the public portal, evidence.com, and how we've established that has really grown a foothold, and sort of we've built a benchmark here for how to communicate in that way. So with that, I'll end that presentation and open the floor to any questions.
Thank you so much for that information. That was really helpful. Are there any PAB member questions? I see Cedric.
Captain Schultz, just a quick comment. I rode along with one of your younger officers about a week ago. On the calls that we went on, it was dealing with stress. Some of the calls dealt with community policing. Some of the calls dealt with really good courtesy. If it was a setup to put me with an officer that was really, really good, you did a really good job. The officer handled stress, community policing, and he also handled being in difficult situations and doing a really good job on the investigation before he made a decision on a case that he was working on. With that being said, I did want to talk about what I didn't see in the police station was, do you have any locations where your team members could decompress after a stressful day? After we went back to the station, I didn't see any location where you could decompress before you get off work to think about what has occurred, to put yourself in the best position to go home to your family and come back to the next day to be ready to go and put yourself in a good position to be ready to go with the community.
Mr. John, thank you so much for bringing that up. That's extremely important to our department, is the health and wellness of our officers. We have a wellness program with the wellness officer. And the one thing that we're really trying to push for, and we try to ask for in the last budget, we're gonna ask for it again in this budget, especially with the LDC over there at the casino where we can get funding, is a wellness center for our officers. We do a lot of debriefing, and we'll have our CIT officers, the ones that are trained in crisis intervention, go out to the stations. They'll go out on the scenes. They go out to the roll call lineups at the stations. They'll even go to the officers' houses. But in the ideal world, we would love to have a center that's not a police station. It doesn't look like a police station. It's somewhere they can come in. There's a meditation room. It's a quiet room. They can just regroup. We'd have counselors there that are trained, whether they're peer support, the civilians or the sworn that are trained in that, just to have a safe space for them. So that is one of the goals for our department moving forward, is to create that kind of space, just for what you said. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it is extremely important to our agency.
Thank you for the response.
Thanks, Cedric. I see Kim's hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to also echo, I really appreciated your report tonight and all the things that you've done, and referring back to the recommendations is very heartening to hear that you've made a real concerted effort to see what we were looking for and have addressed it. That's some really great follow through, and the pride in your voice is really it's really cool to hear, because I mean I do realize that not everybody was like popping out the bottle saying, yeah, we've got the Police Accountability Act. So I realize that that's been kind of a new experience, and new experiences can be a lot, but we spent a lot of time with your department. You did host us for very solid and thorough training. And so we definitely have some insight into how your department works, unlike any other department. And we've seen a lot of good things, but it's great that you all keep pushing yourself to do even better. So thank you for that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Are there any other board member questions? Nope. All right. Well, thank you again for being here this evening. Again, you're welcome to stay, but you're not required to do so. We will see you at our next quarterly meeting in December. Until that time, if you have other recommendations that you would like the board to consider, please send that along to us as we are working on our annual report. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good night. And on that note, for those individuals who may be watching or catch this later, if members of the public have recommendations on things that they would like the PAB to consider, to whether include in the annual report or to offer as recommendations, whether it be to the agencies, the county government, or the state government, you have our contact information and can absolutely send us an email, send me an email, send Jen or Moya an email, and we will absolutely take your feedback under consideration, as we did last year. Just wanted to put that out there. All right, so next on the agenda, look, we're like 3 minutes ahead of schedule. All right, at least in my agenda that I made up in my head, the numbers. New business. So we talked about the annual report. Again, it is due by December 31st to the General Assembly. And so Moya and Jen have started to work on, edits to last year's report. I think everybody was in agreement with the format, which provided an overview of the meetings that we had and the issues that were discussed and any trainings that we had, things of that nature. And then it went into more substantive detail as to recommendations that we were making, again, to agencies, the county government, or the state government. So I'm sure folks haven't seen it in a while, but if you want to take a look-see at our 2022 report, I definitely would recommend just taking a look to see if there's anything that you want to expand upon, if there are new ideas, recommendations, or new information that you would like to see. I will be sending an actual email to board members that's more formalized so that you can reply to that. And so what we'll do is, once we have a good draft, which will be like an edit of last year's report, we'll send that to the board to review, and then we'll have to adopt it in a public meeting. So that'll be our December meeting, we'll adopt it then. Are there any questions about the annual report? Nope. It looks like I skipped, sorry, Moya, executive director updates. I don't have that on my Word document, but so we will turn, if there are no other questions, thanks, Jen, for the pointing that out. We'll hand it over to Moya, our executive director, for some updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. I want to mention that the National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement Officers, excuse me, otherwise known as NACOL, they'll be having their annual conference in Chicago. I will be attending that along with some other administrators across the state. So if you have any interest in attending that conference in Chicago, it's in November. Again, it's NACOL, National Association for Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement. They'll have their national conference. If you're interested, please let me know, let Jen know. But I will be attending this year on behalf of Anne Arundel County. You saw the law enforcement agency gave their updates regarding their cases. So I want to give you all, as the PAB, an update from the ACC standpoint. They do have 2 cases pending. They'll be hearing those 2 cases tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. I do have a summary of the work that they've done so far. Since June of this year, the ACC has heard a total of 20 cases, and in those 20 cases happens to be 28 officers involved. Of those cases, 14 cases were administratively charged, 20 were not administratively charged. They do have a breakdown by agency, as you've heard before. Anne Arundel County Police Department, they submitted 8 cases. The Annapolis Police Department, they submitted 6 cases. The Sheriff's Office, they submitted 6 cases. And of course, Anne Arundel County Community College and Crofton Police have submitted 0 cases. So I just wanted to give you an update as to what the ACC has been doing. They do have tentatively scheduled 3 Mondays out of each month to review cases as they see fit. Obviously, the 3rd Monday, they do not have cases because of the PAB meeting. Jen and I met with Arundel Stat, which is an agency in the county exec's office that does a lot of stats for the office. And we're thinking about trying to create a portal or something to have a public facing dashboard so we can input these statistics into a public facing portal. So when community members can go on the website, the ACC website, and to see how many cases are coming in, how they're being adjudicated. And obviously no identified information is going into this stats, just a raw number. So we're going to keep the PAB obviously aware of what's going on. As soon as that portal is up and running, we'll be sure to let Madam Chair know, and she can disseminate it to the group as well. And that's all that I have for this update. Looking forward to the next meeting. Any questions?
Thanks so much, Moya. Greatly appreciated. Jen put the NACOL information in the chat. Jen, can you also email that to us if you don't mind? It doesn't have to be tonight. Tomorrow morning would be great.
No problem.
Thank you. And great to hear about the public facing portal. I think that would be extremely helpful for us and the public to see, the cases and have a more visual representation of the process and the work that's being done in the county. So we're excited about that possibility, and hopefully that can happen sooner than later. I see Kenny's hand up.
Yes, Madam Director, are there monies in the budget or in the future budget for us to attend training or conferences such as the one that you're attending? Maybe not necessarily nationally, but locally?
Yes, there's some money in the budget for this year, and we also will be continuing adding more money to the budget for next year as well. So yes, to answer your question, trainings and conferences have been built into the budget.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. And I went out of order, so we've already done new business. Let me stick to the real agenda, not my Word document. Announcements. So does anybody have any announcements? No, okay. So my announcement is that the next meeting of the PAB will be held on Monday, November 27th at 6:30, our normally scheduled time. We moved it up to 7 p.m. today in honor of Yom Kippur. Wanted to make sure we were at sundown before we met when Yom Kippur ended. And so the next meeting, again, Monday, November 27th at 6:30. And if there are no other announcements, no other questions, is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second?
And
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, thank you so much. You will be receiving email from me regarding the annual report in the near future, but please start thinking about any edits or additions that you would like to see. Thank you all so much for being here this evening. Have a good night.